Hey there, welcome back to CMTEQ channel. In this quick tutorial, we're going to try to understand the phenomenon of positive and negative reactive power on a power system network. This is really a crucial topic in power system analysis because, as we all know, reactive power is essential because it serves as a tool to maintain voltage stability. These bus bar here, as you can see with indication, we've got red, yellow, blue, green. We've got the whole rainbow color of bus bar here. Now the situation here is that some bus bar, they are above the nominal voltage, some are under, and some are just where we want them to be. Now this is going on because the generator, because the synchronous machine here are fighting, they're trying to maintain the system that is heavily loaded. So here's a question: have you ever wondered why one generator injects reactive power into the system while another generator seems to be absorbing the very same reactive power that is supposed to maintain the system stability, right? Even though both are set to maintain a 1 volt per unit, right, for the system and have the same system settings, right? So this is DigSilent simulations that we are actually talking about here. So in this quick tutorial, we're going to try to understand what positive and reactive power means in terms of the power system network, as we can see in this 9 bus bar system. So without any further ado, let's get started. Great. Now let's start by analyzing the situation around generator 2 or Gen 2 in this case here. Now, as we can see, the two closest bars here that this generator is supposed to support via this transformer, they are very much on the blue zone, which means the per unit voltage here is very low. So when we zoom in into the result here, we can see it's 0.92 per unit, and this one here is 0.9 per unit, even lower than this particular bus 6. So what's going on here? This generator Gen 2, which its negative reactive power, is actually absorbing this reactive power. Now the reason it's doing it is because it's operating under excited mode, basically meaning it's absorbing reactive power or showing a negative Q. Now when we go into the setting load flow, we're going to realize that the voltage it's set to maintain a voltage of 1 per unit. And when we look at its capability curve, we can see that it's operating within the boundary of the maximum of its capability curve. By the way, if you find this power system inside tutorial useful, please make sure you subscribe to CMTEQ channel. That will be highly appreciated, and give this tutorial a thumbs up. So the question is, what's causing this generator to actually operate within its capability curve in terms of reactive power generation, right, which it is now absorbing? Now the reason is very simple. It is connected in a heavily loaded system, okay, and we've got line with high impedance. As we know, in power system, impedance of the line, which is made of resistance and reactance, if we open this line here quickly, we're going to realize that this line has an impedance of 53.69 ohm and the angle is 83 right now, because it has a resistive and reactive component in this impedance. So the reactance is 53.3 and the resistance is 6.2. that is why the angle is so high, because the imaginary part is much bigger. Okay, now this line has an effect on the reactive. It's not very direct, but it does have an effect on the reactive power of the system, because high impedance will cause the voltage drop, and when we have a voltage drop, this will actually cause a change in the reactive power flow in the system, whether it's going to be a negative or positive net reactive power, it will have a cause and effect. And adding that to the load connected to the system, this load is injecting 32 megavolt ampere reactive, and this load is injecting 30 megavolt ampere reactive. So the system here is heavily loaded. This is what's causing this generator to absorb reactive power to try to keep these dropping voltage to the limits of 1 per unit, which is set by the reference machine here as well, which try to regulate the limits that are set by the generator itself and the reference machine that we've got here, the external grid. So that is the cause for this generator negative reactive power. Now, apart from that, we can also see that this generator is 113.6% overloaded. Now, the reason it is overloaded is obviously because the basics data of that generator is set at 130 MVA. This is 130 MVA, but the generator is supplying 147 MVA because there is a 85 megawatt and there is a 120.8 megavolt ampere reactive power that it is absorbing. Now these all add up to the apparent power, which is equal to the square root of active power square plus the square of the reactive power. So even though it is a negative Q, but it's still going to be net positive because it's going to be the square of the reactive power. Now, what's going on here on the side of generator 1, which has a net flow here of positive 363.2 megavolt ampere reactive power. Now the situation here seems to be very much different. Okay, this is absorbing and this one is injecting. Now why is this generator injecting? Now the situation is different because this particular generator is connected on the network in a section that have the loadings is not very heavy, is not heavily loaded compared to this section of the network that is heavily loaded, as an indication of how deep the voltage are. Now here we've got the voltage is high. Okay, now the reason the voltage is high in this section of the network is very simple. The voltage is high simply because the system is underloaded. Okay, it's not overloaded like in this case here. Now why is this system is underloaded? We can just compare these two bus bar here. Look at this bus. This bus is sitting at 1.02 per unit, right in the green zone, while this bus is sitting at 0.92, which means it's heavily loaded. And when we compare the load here, we can see this is a 10 megawatt and it has a 50 M VAR, which means the load here is much less compared to the heavy load on this bus here. And if we also look at the impedance of the line, as they also contribute to voltage drop and reactive power and so forth, right, cause and effect, it's a bit more complicated than that. But when we look at the impedance here, it's 83.8 on this line, and on this line it is 38 ohm. Okay, so the situation is very simple. So the system is not loaded on this section, and this is because generator 1 is overexcited. Because the generator is overexcited, is actually generating or injecting more reactive power, which we can see here, 363.2 megavolt ampere reactive, and that injection in reactive power is causing the bus here, okay, the bus here to actually overshoot. Okay, it's pushing it high. Okay, so that's a situation. So the overexcitation of the generator is causing it to generate more reactive power, which then cause the voltage at the bus to overshoot because the bus is underloaded compared to the situation that's going on here. Now, this is too extreme, the bad and the bad. So we need to find a middle point here that these two generators can actually understand what's going on in this network here, so that they can actually support each other and operate in normal nominal conditions without overloading. You can see this one is also overloading, and the reason for overloading is very simple, because it's generating more reactive power. The overloading is not happening because of the active power, it's mostly because of the reactive power that it is generating, because now this can cause a situation. So this situation, if not taken care of, will lead to imbalances of the Q, basically reactive power sharing scenario, and it will affect the generator system reliability and cause disturbance into the entire network. Obviously, this is going on, this is still working because it's a simulation, okay? But in a real scenario, real life situation, things are going to start tripping here. Now, what's the solution here? Now, before we talk about the solution, a quick takeaway is that negative reactive power means the generator is absorbing reactive power, okay? And the positive reactive power in this side, it means it's basically injecting reactive power in the system. They're doing this all in the aim of trying to stabilize the system. Even though in this particular scenario, there is no coordination between these two generators. So that's the problem that need to be addressed. So to make both generators work together, there are a couple of settings that we can actually explore in DigSilent. There are advanced settings that can be set for these two generators to actually work together. We can do the reactive power droop settings and proper set point, or even local compensations near the loads, basically by adding capacitor banks or shunt reactors to try to assist, especially in this area where there is the voltage overshooting. Okay, so this is what can be done to basically assist the network. So in closing, the takeaway is that if you are analyzing your power system network and you find different voltage level, voltage swings, this is caused by uneven reactive power sharing between the generators. One is being overburdened by the other, by the system, right? So if we do the droop settings and all other set points, we can actually eliminate this situation and get our simulation working accordingly. So that is it, guys. Stay tuned for more practical power system analysis. If you find this useful, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to CMTEQ channel. That will be highly appreciated. Until next time, cheers.